And because if I'm not enjoying it and I don't like it and then they're also saying it seems fake, I'm like, well, probably because it is, right? Like, because I don't like it, so I have to kind of fake it or put on a character or whatever.
Hey, Adrian Tony Nava here, your personal brand advisor. Today we will be commenting a little bit about this wonderful transformation of Sam Ovens, a personal brand transformation from which we can learn a lot of things. So we will not be talking too much. I just want to share a little bit my experience. I have been in this rabbit hole of how to align your brand with your core values, with your personality. I have been working with creators since 2016, and I have been behind the scenes working with high-level creators, 7 million plus, financial institutions, and finding a meaningful way to convey your values in a very concise way. It's a way to avoid what people call burnout. That is avoiding the bad side. But in the flip side and in the bright side of the coin, once you align, as we will be learning in this discussion, your brand with your personality type, with your value structure, you are relentless and you can build things that are wonderful. So in this conversation, we will be exploring this, and I hope you enjoy.
You know, I had a company that was making a lot of money, very profitable, and everything was working fine, right? So, and then school is, I just knew it would cost a lot of money. I didn't know how it would make any money, and it was unknown territory. So, you know, the polar opposite. So there was that, but, you know, the main reason was I had like fallen out of love with the business and also the work that I was doing each day. I didn't think it was very well aligned to my personality. I am quite introverted. I don't really like being on camera. I don't mind talking to people because it's just very natural to me. I mean, I talk to people, right? Like, who doesn't? And I forget the camera's there, right? But I really don't like talking to a camera. And it just didn't feel right. It was also kind of rubbing some people the wrong way, like, you know, criticism. And I know a lot of people say like, oh, fuck your haters or whatever. But, you know, I think when there's, well, at least for me, sometimes I agree with them. Right? And so I find their feedback to be helpful sometimes. And because if I'm not enjoying it and I don't like it and then they're also saying it seems fake, I'm like, well, probably because it is, right? Like, because I don't like it, so I have to kind of fake it or put on a character or whatever. You know, most people just probably want to be successful and they don't care how it happens, right? But once you've been successful for a while, you start to think maybe I'm successful, but in the wrong thing.
That is extremely valuable. So there is one thing called your personality structure. If you do one of these personality tests, the most famous one will kind of label yourself into 4 letters. And the ideal is not to box yourself, but rather understanding your natural tendencies. Are just tendencies, but very, very insightful. He said, I'm an introverted and I had to do these videos. And some people said, you are kind of faking it. And he will explain exactly his personal journey in that specific phase. So a lot of people are not aware of their personal type, their personality type, either their value structure type. So there is a framework called the Schwartz framework. So you have 10 pillars. And those pillars are kind of the universal motivations or the universal motivations for doing things. And every single one of us have different structure, like different hierarchy, a different order. So he's saying maybe most people, they want to be successful and they don't care how. That is a key phrase he said. And I go respectfully disagree. I have been in this rabbit hole for a long time. I have gone through this personal journey myself. So That is not true. And I understand some ovens is not in this specific sub niche category, and that is the reason why I'm explaining this and this YouTube channel exists. The reality is, it is not true. Not every single person can endure what it takes to be successful no matter what. And the reason is, not everyone have the same version of success. In my case, when I do the short priorities framework, your value framework, my number one above everything else is freedom. So for me, any business model that compromises my freedom will have me in a situation where I will be burnt out. It's not going to be a good fit for me, as it is not a good fit for him. But for some people, wealth accumulation is the first value and the first core motivator. And for that people, the business model structure is in a second layer, because they can endure whatever it takes, because that's their main priority and that works for them. Okay? And then he's saying, okay, I had to shut down this successful business, and now I'm doing this because I believe is what I have to do. So that is intuition 101. Okay? And then changing my look. If you watch this video, you are watching these videos, most likely you already know Sam Ovens. And if you watch all content of Sam Ovens, he had a very different looking. So he had to play that game in order to be successful in that direction, playing that game. But that is not who he was. A lot of people will be extremely happy. And for a lot of people, that business model is a good fit. That is the reason why I'm not a closer. There is a lot of money right now into closing if you work with a lot of creators and you jump into calls and you sell high ticket things. And if you do that like your core thing, you need to be an extrovert. You have to be good with doing that and exposing yourself with new people all the time, and you have to feel good doing that. If you are that type of person, that is going to be your sauce. For me, I'm more kind of introvert, and there is a spectrum, and I can do this type of videos. I don't compromise who I am. I can be doing this. I will never feel burnout by doing this. But he was not feeling comfortable. And if I had the opportunity to talk with him years ago, maybe as a friend, hey, Sam, are you aware of your personality type? Okay, you're an introvert. What if rather than using videos as your main source of communication, you use text? You can do well. There are a lot of Twitter, X, formerly Twitter, accounts doing good money just by creating text content. So it works. So there may be a different strategy even to operate a similar business model, but aligned with his personality structure. And then there is the value structure. And for some people, if freedom of location is your main priority, or is inside of your main priorities, because freedom in general has like some subcategories, you will not feel comfortable having, for example, even the most luxury office in Dubai or whatever you want to locate it. It doesn't matter. The facility is great. It's fancy. It is the top tier of that game. If you don't want to play that game because that game is not aligned with your value structure, you will not be interested in being in that office every single day at the same time or whatever, or playing that game because you want to be location free. Okay? So being aware of your personality, your value structure, and then having a clear vision of the type of life you want will give you such an edge, because you will be able to say no to the many things that do not resonate with who you are. And the other side of the coin, you can be strategic and doing exactly what is resonating with you and play the long term and the big leagues, and anyone else can do in the way you can do it because it's aligned with you. So it is not a code mechanism to stop doing a few things because I don't feel like it. I don't like it. No, it is not like that. It's quite the opposite. It's a way to be strategic. So you can strategically design a business model that is aligned with you, that is aligned with your value structure, that is aligned with the vision that you yourself have designed for you. So if I would had this conversation with Sam a couple of years ago, maybe he will have realized about it. So how some other creators say, I don't need to check the alignment of my brand. Well, a multi-millionaire is telling you in the face, he had to do it. And he had to hit the wall. So let's keep watching. There is so much secret sauce in this conversation, and I will be talking a little bit more about it.
I'm curious, what were some of the comments that you got that rubbed you the wrong way, or maybe they stung because you knew there's some truth to it?
Some people would say, like, that, I forget the exact comments, right? Although I do remember maybe one of them was like, it looks like this guy's in a lot of pain, or it looks like someone has a gun to this guy's head and is forcing him to make this video. And then there was just various ways of saying that this is fake, or I don't trust him, or I don't trust this, right? So, and then I thought, well, I am in pain. I do have to force myself to make these videos. I don't like making these videos. I dread it. And I am kind of faking it because I have to maintain this particular character. Because, you know, if you just change the nature of your channel all of a sudden, people are like, whoa, wait a second, what happened to that other stuff, right?
One of the things that you said was at the retreat was, if something sucks, I often think there's something wrong.
Yeah.
That's not how you used to think. What changed?
Well, I think part of it is it's a luxury, right? Like, a lot of people just want to succeed and they're willing to do anything, not anything, but, you know, a lot of stuff, and they're willing to go through a lot of pain. But once you're able to do it, you realize that you can do almost anything, and you may as well pick something that isn't painful, right? So you don't have to do the thing that sucks. And there's a lot of intelligence to that, actually. Like, what makes a good product is something that makes people feel good, right, to use. So, like, you use an iPhone, you use a MacBook Pro, it feels good, it's nice to use. Bad products make people feel not very good. And so that difference between, like, a good product and a bad product is how it feels, right? And so to make something great, you have to be very attuned to feeling and how it makes the user feel, right? And what I've found is that to do that, it has a high, like, correlation to how the creator feels making it, right? It kind of shines through or something.
I will extend to what Sam is saying right now, that when you do something that feels painful, maybe you're doing the wrong thing. I will extend. It is not about the thing. It is about the alignment between you and the thing. For some people, hustling feels great. And that's what they want to do. Because in their value structure, if you want to accumulate wealth, because that is your priority, whatever it takes is going to feel great because you are pursuing a goal that is aligned with you. If you are building a business model as a way to achieve freedom, not all the business models are conducive to have freedom independently of the amount of money you make. So you can make 10K in one direction or the other, but one of them is going to be conducive to freedom and the other one no. So in both cases, you will be making 10K. For the person that the 10Ks themselves is like the end, the output is the goal, is great. If freedom is the goal and the 10Ks are just a vehicle, a resource you need in that path, you will not feel great if you have to compromise what is extremely valuable to you and you have to compromise the goal itself. And not a lot of people understand what is exactly the goal they are trying to achieve. For some people, the goal they are trying to achieve is transcendence. For some people, it is to be impactful, to be respected, to play a hierarchy game inside of the human structure, is like in the society. So you need to be sincere with yourself, and there are tools to do it, because it's not that we are aware of it and we want to be fake. Sometimes it's like we don't have the resources to even understand who we are and what are our core motivations. So there is an extension, an important extension that I will make. When he's saying something that is painful, obviously he's talking for himself, something that is painful for me, but it doesn't have to be for you.
Maybe you can succeed at some level doing things you hate and just grinding. But what if you found a way that was fun? Maybe it would, I mean, if you did find that way, it would probably work way better. Yeah.
What you kind of alluded to is that you earn to get to that stage, right? It's not something you start out with. Because in the beginning,
No, I
when you were
think
starting
you
out,
can really start with it, honestly. Like, I just don't think anyone even cares for that when they're not successful or broke. I think they should be mindful of that, really, because maybe they could be a lot more successful. But you have a very scarcity-based mindset when you don't even believe you can make it in using any method, right? So that's just my experience of it. But I have noticed some people, they just follow their heart and intuition from the beginning, and they never have to go through that stupid thing. Yeah.
interesting. Because I look at a lot of people who have not done that, or who do that. They follow what they're passionate about, and they've never built a business before, and their passion happens to be a very competitive niche.
I understand Hendrix is not quite understanding the nuances, and I love the content of these guys, and I have been in this rabbit hole, so there are nuances they are not getting. Sam is not talking about passion. He's talking about alignment. Actually, you can operate a business model that feels natural to you. You will never feel burnout and not necessarily pursuing your passion. And also it is possible to pursue your passion in a wrong way, so you feel frustrated. Let's say the example Leon Hendrix talking about here. Let's say that you love to be a fitness coach. Okay? You can do that in very different ways. If you are, for example, an extroverted and you try to just create text content, you will not feel natural, because you maybe will feel uncomfortable, claustrophobic, because maybe you are more outgoing, and it will be way more interesting for you to do videos using a vehicle that is aligned with your personality. And then the value structure. Why you want to be a coach? Do you want to be the most successful coach because you want the status? You want to be a successful coach as a vehicle for having X amount of money, because the money is the end goal, okay, the monetary success? Or you want to do it as a vehicle to achieve freedom, or you want it as a vehicle to have better relationships because you want to, you want to play the game with the ladies or whatever it is. So there are different motivations, and that has not to do with your personality, but it has to do with your value structure. And there are endless possible configurations in the machine, in the business machine, your content structure, your strategy as a whole, that they are not necessarily dependent on what are you pursuing when it comes to the content itself. Meaning, if you want to be a coach or whatever it is, there are many possible configurations along the way that you can achieve the same goal. Some of them, most of them will be misaligned with your personality and your value structure, and there is a path that you can intentionally craft okay, where there is an intersection between what you love, like what is your passion or one of your passions, and what the market is demanding. And in the intersection, you may find the topic, the niche, but then how you build a business to tackle that opportunity in the market, there are endless configurations. And some of those configurations will resonate with you and some of them will not resonate with you. So it is not about passion we are talking about here.
In 2019, I saw a video of you, why you can't do the work. And that was a big shift for me at the time because I just sold my first business and I was forcing myself into starting a new business because I was like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, I have to do the next thing. And that video made me consider that maybe I'm having such a hard time getting back to work because my heart's just not in it. If you can't do the work, that's the lesson that I took away from it. Your heart's probably not in it. I feel like that's something we already touched on with school, right? And one of the things you said as well at the retreat is that people can just tell when something is pure. Don't try to create a brand. Just figure out from the inside who you truly are and what you really care about. How would you go about that?
I think it's quite hard to do. And I think it can't be done fast because it's like peeling back layers, right? Layers of fakeness. And it's not like it's all intentional, actually. It's not like you know all of these different places where you're being fake. It is not actually, you're not aware of it fully. I mean, you obviously start with the places that you know, right? But you really have to get good at figuring out what you like and what you don't like. And then you have to make sure that that's real, why you like it, and not you like it because other people like it. That's the hardest one, right? Because like sometimes I see some people wearing some clothes and I'm like, that looks ridiculous and it looks uncomfortable, but it's the fashion, right? And I ask myself, like, does that person really like that? And I'm pretty sure they don't. But I'm pretty sure if I asked them, they would say they liked it and they would think because it looks good. But if you were to look back at that person's choices over time, they're changing their mind, right? And it just so happens that their mind change perfectly correlates with what everyone else has done with their mind change. So, like, it's clearly not their choice, right?
Man, there are so many valuable things here to unpack. So he said, it is a process that can be accelerated. It can be fast. I agree at a certain extent. The reality is there are some scenarios, there are tools, there are framework that can accelerate that internal discovery process. So when you are not aware of how to be authentic, how to explore yourself, what is the only alternative you have? To copy the references you have available. And it's not that you do that reasoning process, it's just a feeling that manifests by default. So if you have the opportunity to have this journey of introspection and you are aware of your personality type, you are aware of your values, you are aware of the best possible version of success of your own life, and you intentionally design what is the meaning of all of this for you, then you have an alternative. So when you see the version of success of someone, you have the tools to integrate what is interesting in that lifestyle. Let's say, okay, you see this guy driving a Lambo, whatever, it is fascinating, it's awesome. I want that lifestyle. No, maybe I don't want that lifestyle because that guy is hiring a lot of people. He's running this type of business. And yes, he has location freedom, but I prefer to be a solopreneur. So yes, I want to be driving a Lambo. That is something I like. I like the possibility of having the flexibility to travel around the world. But I don't want to operate the business model he's operating, but I like these elements of his lifestyle. So I can bring to my own version of success the elements I like, and you don't have to copy the full blueprint. That is usually what people do, and is natural when you don't have the resources to create your own thing, okay? If something I have said during this video is interesting for you, you're like in the top 1% of people that is going to be watching this part of the video, okay? Here in the description of this video, you will find a link and we can have a free discovery session. I can share with you these frameworks. I can have a chat with you. I can send you in advance, even before our call, a couple of resources. So once we start talking about your brand, your priorities, we can really deep dive into a self-discovery process that may be insightful for you. And hey, here we have a guy, a multimillionaire guy, and he had to go through that process, realizing that he was doing something that was not aligned with him. You don't have to go through that path. I don't have to go through that path. There are resources. There are ways that we can align our brand, being strategic, and play the game in a different way where we are relentless, because we are operating at the level of frequency nobody can compete with, because we are being true to ourselves, okay? So if you like this video, subscribe, that will help a lot. Give it a like, share it with other creator or someone else that may take some value out of this video, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.